Alright guys, we're back and we're going to be hopping into the grand finals. It's INnoVation versus Impact, and I just confirmed this is in fact a best of 3, not a best of 5. So, are you loaded in, Zombie Grub?
I am loaded in.
Alright, then on 3, 2, 1.
Well,
Okay, so with game number 1 kicking off here on King Sejong Station, in the bottom right side of the map, we got the red Zerg player, Impact.
in the top left, as the blue. No, I entirely got that wrong. As the blue Terran, he is INnoVation.
Normally it's
He's
the
almost the
streamer
red
that makes the
Protoss.
mistakes.
Whatever, man. I think I'm doing okay for
Being
an odd hour.
and the PC bog. Yeah, I that's fine. So, what's really cool to me about INnoVation is the fact that he has been streaming lately, and streaming rather frequently at that. I think one of the biggest things that kind of made INnoVation rather alluring to watch was this was a guy you didn't get to see often, right? Like the exclusivity of like him in a tournament was strictly that. You didn't see him stream, you didn't see him in a lot of tournaments. When you saw him, it was rare and it was kind of cool. At the same time, though, we don't actually know if that's what he wanted. He may have wanted to stream the entire time he was on a Kespa team, but simply wasn't allowed to. Like, I don't know these guys well enough to ask them, but I gotta imagine some of the Koreans, not all of them obviously, but some of the Koreans that were held to restrictive rules finally get that freedom to breathe, to build that foreign fan audience that they want. I mean, the one thing I've learned in the last few years of talking to a lot of our Korean friends is for them, they love their foreign audience and they want to travel. In fact, what was really interesting to me was Solar revealing the fact at BlizzCon that there's a lot of Koreans that would play for a much smaller prize pool if it meant instead that they got to travel to that event. Like, to go to Canada to play for a small prize pool, but to go to Canada being the emphasis part of that trip, right? So, the same logic might apply here. A lot of these guys might not care about much regarding tournaments as long as they got to stream. And I know that's true for at least a couple. I can't say for INnoVation. I don't know him well enough to speak on his behalf.
Yeah, exactly. I've definitely heard about other Koreans not wanting to travel at all and feeling the obligation, whether it was from a foreign team or even from the Kespa teams. Occasionally would be like, yeah, you have to go represent us in IAM. They didn't actually like it. So I guess it's every country and whatever, every type of person has that either they hate traveling or they love traveling.
I'm like 50-50 for that myself too. Like the actual act of traveling, like being in that plane for hours at a time, not in love with. But going to the new place and seeing your friends there, like that much, I live for that. Literally, that's what drives me right now.
Well, I don't know how much they're going to go and see like their friends, because this is like, it's so funny, like INnoVation. If
Well,
he
yeah, I'm
was the
speaking
type to
personally.
be like super gung-ho about streaming and he's been denied this entire time, it'd be so surprising. Seems kind of like he keeps to himself and just, have the best friends that he has in Korea. I don't think he's ever talked to me. I actually like got to like straight up meet him in Korea, and he was surrounded by fangirls, so I only got like 2 words. Felt bad. No, I didn't get any words. Just kidding. Olivia translated for me.
Nice.
Feels worse.
It can't be worse than that girl trying to flirt with Zest through the translator.
I don't know if I can't tell if that was just the saddest thing I've ever seen or the most ballsiest way to go girl thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's like combination impressive and depressive at the same time. Like,
Yeah, and I don't even know what the result was. I mean, she was good looking, he was good looking. They could have had amazing babies, all right? Or it could have just
I'm
been an
sure that's what
embarrassing
both of them
story.
were thinking. Both of them were probably just thinking like, does she have
Okay,
an
but,
STD?
like,
Does he have a
I mean-
condom? Like,
Okay, wow. Okay, that's going to. I was gonna say, like, whenever you think like, yeah, I'd totally do it with that person, you are in a way thinking like, yeah, we're attractive enough. Babies would be pretty good. No, just kidding.
I don't think I've had that thought ever in that situation. Babies are
I've
not the
never-
first thing on my mind, at least.
To be,
Usually,
like,
for me,
jokes-
it's like, hey, this girl's really hot, and that's all you're thinking about. Like, end thought right there. There is no step 2. Like,
Okay, jokes aside, like, I've never thought about that either, but when I see other people,
Whoa.
like, be interested in each other, I do think, like, what would their children look like?
okay, that's a fair point, but whoa, we need to talk about this. There's 4 queens coming over in this Overlord. There's going to be Lings dropped to the main. There's going to be queens dropped to the natural. What is this attack out of Impact?
Very True-esque on the same map that True attempted it on, too. And successfully completed. I should not even say attempted.
I mean, this actually reminds me a little bit more of like
DreamHack
Orena.
Montreal.
Well, the Queen's going to focus down one of the medevacs, almost gets it. These Queens have got a couple of transfusions in them, but honestly not many, so pick it up the Overlord to fly away. But the entire army was distracted, so the laser are running wild in the main. 11-14. INnoVation's losing so many workers, and he's not pulling away. Every worker in the main's going to die to a small link drop. Oh my god. INnoVation, what's going on here?
Okay, so that was a huge mistake.
The Queens haven't been cleaned up either. Oh my god.
Like 16 of those SCVs, but can he win with this push? Nope, not even. He has to retreat.
I mean, the Overlord's gonna die, the Queen's inside of it. Oh, that sucks. Except, wait, he killed 23 workers, so who freaking cares? He's down to 14 SCVs.
I don't, like, he still has the potential to do damage, especially now that he did kill the Queens. If he combines all his Marines together and doesn't get his medevac sniped.
There's gonna be banelings. There's a lot more links coming on the map. I don't think INnoVation can do any damage.
He's only gonna have 4 banelings. 5, 6 banelings. Like, I don't think INnoVation's gonna win, but I think that he's right in trying to move across the map and do so, especially after killing 4 Queens.
Yeah, but 4 more Queens are here waiting. They're gonna pick off that first medevac. Second medevac will probably go down afterwards. One of mine might be on cooldown, but I don't know. I don't see this going well for INnoVation. Like, this has got to be. This smells impact all over it to me.
Smells impact.
Okay, so maybe I'm wrong. I'll take that. All the banelings went down to that last shot. That was not looking too good. That being said, the Lynx also counterattack and get past the wall, so INnoVation's going to lose what little workers he has left. And I think Broodlings and Drone Pulls are going to beat out the remaining Marines. Any buildings that die are going to kill the attack out of INnoVation. The medevac goes down, that's it. I think Impact's won this game. GG! Impact, a literal god!
Fun stuff.
Okay, so for me, what was most surprising was not the Queen drop, right? Like, that's cool. I like different tactics like that. It reminded me a little bit of Arena back in the day. It blew me away that INnoVation didn't even pull the SCVs from the main. Like, I get that you lose a couple, but he didn't make any effort to pull those whatsoever.
Yeah, he was just entirely not paying attention. I guess maybe he was trying to focus. Maybe he was trying to focus by the Overlord, and his attention really was all on that, which he failed in doing so anyway. But I don't know. That was just. I would say it's uncharacteristic, but it's actually not. This is something we've seen the INnoVation do online before. Just apparently not be paying attention.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, another commercial break as we hop into game number 2 in the finals. Impact leading 1-0 versus INnoVation. See you guys soon. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We're going to get into game number 2 here in just a moment. Things are loading up. It is the finals of the LeiFeng Cup, so leading 1-0 is Impact's favor, actually, going into this. Best of 3 finals at that. We are going to be trying to do more LeiFeng Cup action in the future, and a lot of it's going to be live. So while right now it's kind of comfortable for some of you guys watching at 12 o'clock West Coast, it's going to more likely be happening at like 5 a.m. or 3 a.m., like really early in the morning for the live cast of this. So we'll try and get some rebroadcast going if there's enough demand for it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this, though. I mean, I will say 1,500 people tuning in for replays is really great. That being said, the reason we're doing replays is because nobody got to cast this live. More on that in a moment, guys. Let's hop into the game as we get the countdown going. So 3, 2, 1. Game number 2 kicks off with, in the top left side, and now purple. I don't know if I've ever seen him purple. Terran player, INnoVation.
I don't like purple and Terran. Purple's a Zerg color.
It is.
In the bottom left, as the red Zerg, he is Impact.
All right. Also, I just got to give a side shout out here. Sue is currently rocking it right now. I checked Team Liquid over waiting. He's got like 1,800 something viewers tuning in. I mean, it's one thing, first off, more than us, which is damn impressive. But secondly, it's nice to see like an actual streamer like Sue do well. I haven't actually seen a single one of Sue's streams, so I'm gonna go watch that later today if he's still streaming when we're done. But meeting him in person, I thought Sue would be very much like INnoVation-esque, like kind of robot-y, kind of standoffish. He was actually really nice in person.
Yeah.
And definitely a lot more emotive than I thought he would be.
It is interesting that he's still streaming, because he's in Korea.
Yeah, what time is it over there in Korea right now?
5 in the morning.
Yikes.
Yeah. So I guess maybe that's why he has so many, is that everyone's like, oh my god, he's streaming so long.
Maybe they're just following the path of Beyond, and they're like, this dude streams forever, and he's that good at the game, must be connected. Thank you, Salil, by the way, for the 26-month resub. Now, INnoVation is capable of a lot of things. Well, this is the old version of the game. I do want to reiterate, like, mech is always a possibility for him, but so are Reapers. I mean, I don't know what direction he takes this as far as the game goes. But Impact, I know has played against everything INnoVation's thrown at him before. We've actually cast like really old games, and I'm talking like a year and a half ago, INnoVation playing Mech versus Impact, and Impact actually beating that. So he's played many different flavors of INnoVation in the past.
Ooh, flavors of INnoVation.
Sexy.
Well, a year and a half ago, it wouldn't have been Cyclone Mech, right?
No, it would still have been like Thors and tanks and
Yeah. So that is different, and that is something that INnoVation has been playing lately. So it's so interesting because he's been doing it for the past month on the previous patch, which this is on, but we might not see it for the next patch, where supposedly Mech is the thing to go for because Cyclones are questionable. It's a weird state of time right here as we cast 2-day-old replays that are somehow so drastically different.
yeah.
Anyway.
It's just because it hit the borderline of the patch, right? Like, that's the only reason it's so weird to
Yeah,
describe.
exactly.
INnoVation Reaper gets in. He's going to pick off a couple lings, maybe? He's tentative to take this fight. Impact's keeping a lot of the low lings back as well, but the first one gets picked off. Second one going to go down to a grenade, maybe? Just auto
That's a
attacks.
nice micro. Well, INnoVation's not going to go Mech. He is going to be going for the same 2-1-1 build, except this time he'll have to deal with queen drops. And it wasn't the queen drops, it was the lings. The point is, he's going to be able to execute it, and it's going to be up to Impact to correctly respond.
Well, not cleaning up that Reaper is certainly going to be annoying. Can add a lot to a follow-up push with that grenade, right? Lings can no longer surround, you get pushed off. Stim starts up pretty quick here out of INnoVation as well.
Yeah, 2-1-1. Should give him a very solid... Like, seriously, that last game, he had the units to defend against everything. It just was not looking in the main base. If he lost, like, 50% less, he would have probably won that game, especially after killing the Queen Overlord. Just with a decent rally and a decent, like, mid-late game, long-term plan, but it was the case that was so severe he couldn't. So in a game like this, he should feel comfortable in the early game. He'll scout the third base eventually, I assume with the Reaper. He doesn't have very much more to scout otherwise. Maybe. I guess he could also scout the double evolution chamber. Either way, it'll tell him that it's a macro game, unless Impact did something really sneaky.
Impact, if he did do something sneaky and he got away with a 2-0 and like knocked INnoVation out 2-0, I wouldn't believe it. You told me those results, it'd say like it wasn't INnoVation playing.
Yeah. Well, especially after the huge mishap with the SCVs, but Reaper doesn't scout either one that I was talking about, so he doesn't quite know what Impact's doing, and he didn't even get to the back of the mineral line, so he really could be scared, but again, like his build is usually very good for defensive early game. So
here's what's interesting about this, right? Like Impact's gonna have a nice amount of queens, so I can't see INnoVation really getting a lot of damage done with the medevacs. They should be pretty easily pushed off, in my opinion. But that being said, 2 Evo Chambers both researching at the same time, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of gas and a third base coming down. So there's not actually going to be that much on the field.
Yeah. I mean, it is usually so predictable when you scout, like it's a 2-1-1, to just get 20 lings, queens on the front lines, and not take any damage. It gets questionable whether they drop or continue investing into the attack, but...
Oh, the Sim's going to get the Overlord. Picks off all the lings inside of it, too. Nice pick off out of INnoVation.
Yeah, and that's a pretty important pick-off. That Overlord turning into an Overlord drop and then lings that he has to remake. I don't think it'll affect the defense so much, but it is affecting his economy a lot. Like, he's still stuck at 36 drones trying to get enough lings to defend against this eventual drop.
Ooh, there's going to be 2 tanks for this, too. That might be problems, actually.
Yeah, he's not immediately dropping. He's waiting for the 2 tanks to push, I guess, down the left side, as there's in the middle. But the left side. Ideally, it's horizontal spawns, something like this, but vertical spawns work out well too. And you still have tank drops, so...
I mean, so normally when you come in with just like the 2 tank drops, right, the queens can eventually push back the medevacs, but with so many marines guarding them, I actually don't know they'll be able to do that. And let's not forget, Stim is done. Combat Shields is going to be finished pretty quick. Yeah, the lings are going to have 1-1. There's going to be a decent amount of banelings, but so much is going to come down to INnoVation's tanks. Do they get the focus fire? Do they get the shots? And do they stop all of this from getting on top of the marines? Because the marines will win the game if they live.
It is a bit of an interesting change-up to the typical 2-1-1. Like, these 2 tanks, I think, are coming much faster than Impact would have expected.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot of army out of INnoVation. Those tanks are huge. Queen's already almost all going down. Every single transfuse has been burned. That was like, he had like 8 queens, down to 6 already.
Yeah.
Banelings want to come in. He's getting back. Oh, the Ling's getting on top. It's a little bit too early. Surround's going down, but the focus fire on the Banelings is good, and not a single Baneling reaches the Marines. That's going to be it. There's nothing left remaining. There's a couple Banelings inside the Overlords. Maybe INnoVation focuses these down. He is going to catch the one Overlord that had Banelings inside of it. What a god.
That was a cool idea.
This was like, I feel like INnoVation was asleep in game 1, and he woke up for game 2. God, hot damn. GG. That was a very different game out of INnoVation. Like, there's just no getting around it.
Yeah, because he was the one that was aggressive as opposed to Impact. You know something funny?
Go on.
Skype's doing that thing again.
Oh, that's interesting.
I know, right?
Well,
I guess you can take the connection out of it. It's literally connection to this account.
Well, the connection's also been like giving me the red warning a lot of the time we've been streaming together, so I don't know.
What did it... I don't know how much that impacts it.
Well, we'll discuss it in a moment. Let's get the commercial break out of the way as we hop into the final game, guys. Game number 3. We'll see you in 2 minutes. All right, hey everybody, we're back, and this is going to be the final game. To give you an idea of what's going on next, we're going to finish up this series. This will determine the winner here and now. Then we'll be going to play some co-op afterwards. So if that's not your flavor of tea, what's nice is I looked at the StarCraft game page while we were loading things up, and damn, there's a lot going on. You've got the VSL finals being recast in French by O Gaming. You've got Loco streaming. You've got Hero Marine streaming. You've got Annie apparently has 300 viewers. I'm not sure what's up with that. You've got Nathanius. You've got, of course, Sue. Like, there's a lot of great StarCraft going on for once, which is really cool to see. So hopefully you'll stick around for co-op. But I'm just bringing it up so that you can find more awesome StarCraft if you're looking for it. That being said, let's hop into the game on 1, 3, 2, 1. So things are tied up 1-1 here in the finish in this best of 3 finals. Bottom right side of Frozen Temple, we got the blue Zerg player. It's Pimpact. I mean Impact.
No, it's not. Gosh. On the top left is the red Terran. He is INnoVation.
Okay, so INnoVation, like I said, game number 1, it felt like he was asleep compared to game number 2. On one hand, like, okay, yeah, he was playing aggressive in game 2 and he wasn't game 1, but more to the point, his focus fire was on par. I mean, he was stutter stepping with Marines while focus fire Banelings with the tanks. Like, we have to watch that in slow-mo to fully appreciate how sick that was.
It was pretty good micro, but it was also just like a blitz move that really surprised Impact. I think if he knew exactly what was on the way, maybe he had a surround set up, maybe he has double the amount of Banelings, maybe he spreads the Banelings a little bit more. I mean, something like that. But just the the quickness of so many Marines and so many tanks probably threw him off. Because I think he was also identifying the build, right? The 2-1-1 is a pretty typical build. You have a certain amount of Lings, you defend, and then you go back into droning. And if that's messed up, then it messes you up the entire, rest of the game. If you instead keep on waiting for the attack to happen and it doesn't, then you go back into drones and suddenly it attacks.
Yeah.
And you messed up. That's the tough life of Zerg sometimes. Sometimes you try and get that nice little, knife's edge of the perfect defense. And in doing so, mess up in some way or another.
So
But INnoVation's micro is also just really cool.
I love the different directions chat's taking you right now, by the way. Blunderful Guys is like, you turn Apollo into a hat. Look, I mean, it is white. It feels sad. She had to bring him with him, guys. She couldn't put him on the plane.
It has a tail, though. It can't possibly be him.
Oh, that's true, actually. A little bob thing at the top. The other one is, of course, Dom saying Zombie Group's just 10 cats in a trench coat, and that actually sounds pretty accurate sometimes.
Sometimes.
Like randomly growls. You don't know what's going on. Mad for no reason. Sounds about 10 cats in a trench coat to me.
I'm never mad. At most, I'm grumpy.
Okay, grumpy's maybe a better word. Because there's like that one day in Korea, I thought you're so mad at me, and then you're like, we're at lunch, and you're describing like, yeah, I just woke up this morning, and I was like tired and grumpy. I was like, oh, thank God. Like, it wasn't me.
Also, you should just know not to talk to someone early in the morning. I mean,
no, that's a fair point. That is a fair point. I'm just saying, though, like, I just thought I had done like something, like goofed or something, like
you did goof. You kept on talking.
Rude. Unfortunately, while I am a talkative person in this particular scenario, I had just felt more awkward, so I kept talking, and I'm sure that didn't help the situation at all. I am the type of person that's actually quite good at burying himself in a hole, whether he realizes it or not. Anyways, getting back on point for the game, though, we do have Overlord speed coming out pretty quick out of Impact. twice now he's gone for Overlord drops. I'm curious to see if he'll go for it a third time.
Yeah, I mean, he's implementing him at least as, harassment options. Because he had the same thing versus Hero, different matchup, but same opening style, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be too surprised to see it attempted again.
Impact's actually a really fun Zerg player to watch if you think about it. Just, again, not like the biggest name, not the standout name, not the guy you would think of first and foremost. INnoVation, by the way, pulls his SCVs back. I guess he's aware something might have been on the way. So I love that he's got them on the ramp, but I believe they're on hold position too, so the Marines can just kind of free fire behind them.
Yeah. He goes again for the 2-1-1 build, which does give you this secure opener. Like, very rarely you're going to die to early Ling surrounds, or I guess you could still die to roach rushes. But even then, hope you scouting in a bunker, and then you have production to take care of it. But the point is, this is only so scary. At most, it could have killed the 2 SCVs that were at the natural if they target fired. So, good defense by INnoVation.
Yeah. This sets up the wall too, so he's gonna be fine for anything that follows this. But again, like a lot of this was that last game. The Stim caught him so off guard. Like, what was that? That was like a 6-minute game, right? Like that was so quick.
Little
part
over
of that.
6.
Well, part of that too was like you are playing on I think it was like Frost, right? So the bases are a little bit different, especially with this was it vertical spawns. This time around, like Impact's bases are a very different layout. Like actually getting on top of that third for INnoVation is not gonna be nearly as easy.
That's true. It is very different. I mean, you can still go through the middle with tanks, but it's not nearly as abusive, I think, against Zerg as it is maybe in some of the other matchups. It's certainly more like Frost is that map for that type of push. But the typical drop on the way, hitting around 5 minutes, it's what it should be the case. This is what Impact probably was expecting last game and preparing for, and then was caught off guard when it didn't hit. It hit like a minute later with a lot more units. Creepy Overlord.
Okay, that's a good start to this because Impact now supply blocked. He does have a lot of queens again though. This is
Yeah, he should
it's
be
weird
good.
'cause-
He already made the lanes.
well, he's not going to get the folks right down the medevacs though. 2 of the queens go down, 3 of the queens go down. Kind of just shreds them to bits, and INnoVation pulls back. Yikes.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Impact started to micro his queens, thinking the rest of them were gonna die. If he hadn't, he probably gets that second medevac.
Yeah, that's true. But still, that's like what you sacrificed 5 queens for a medevac. Yeah, I don't know if that's what it is.
It was a good start for INnoVation, and of course behind this, going for 3rd CC, double engineering bay, more barracks now, still holding off on the factory production, which makes like this is the typical 2-1-1 macro follow-up. That last game was just the slightest bit of difference that surprised Impact.
Well, as INnoVation pulls back, he's not exactly left too bad for this. He doesn't have a lot of tanks coming out like last time, but his production is just going to be leaping ahead with all these extra barracks coming down. Especially if he swaps over some of the add-ons.
His production's going to be pretty good. Of course, his upgrades are going to be behind, as usual for this type of dynamic TvZ, like the Ling player versus the 2-1-1 player, basically.
It is Lings, though, without Banelings, actually, and the Baneliness is only just completing. Speed's going to be far enough off. I mean, 1-1 melee and armor upgrades are great for the Lings to have over the Marines, but it's Banelings that push all this back. INnoVation also taking the time to repair his medevac. It's actually nice to see. Not a lot of Terran players will do that.
Impact going for double Overlord drops. Maybe 1 on each side, I think. It's going to be a little difficult to get the Lings and the Overlord.
Especially when they get picked off by the Marines.
Yeah.
Well, Baneling speed finishes up, or starts up, excuse me, so he'll be finishing up in about, what, a minute-ish, so he'll have that eventually.
Yeah, I mean, INnoVation doesn't really have that great of a push. Even if he did, he'd be going on a creep for the first 30 seconds, so it'd be time for Impact to buy and be like, oh shit, I need links.
Yeah.
So, of course, Impact's getting rounded out on the drone count, and the 4th base should be coming down soon. As soon as he has the minerals from Milbank.
For those who missed the story, I saw my first ever Brood War show match while we were in Korea. It was like the Legend show match where Tasteless or Toastless were casting and all that, but one thing I found really interesting about watching that was noticeably how impossible it feels like it is to buy time in StarCraft compared to Brood War. So I have like this really big newfound respect for anyone that can effectively buy time, thinking back to players like Curious and others.
I'm not sure exactly what you saw in Brood War.
Just like,
But sure.
like literally anything could stall out a big push, whereas the StarCraft you can't really. Like they just mow through anything.
Well,
Like,
you literally stall at a big push by having to find all 10 hotkeys.
yeah, I mean, that's true too. Don't get me wrong. Like there's reasons why you can't do it in StarCraft, but I'm just saying it's really cool when you see players like if INnoVation has to buy time or Impact has to buy time, it's not actually that easy to do.
You done it twice now,
Ugh.
where you called it StarCraft compared to Brood War, and I'm like, StarCraft 2.
Oh, whatever. You know what I'm talking about.
I do, yeah. So, push down the middle, clears up some creep. I mean, it's
Got
okay as long as
few
he did pick up his Marines. Yeah, and a few Banelings, it's true. But Impact's still that, like, okay position. He is reaching toward Invitation Pit already.
Yeah, he's got Burrow on the way, actually, which I'm a lot more intrigued about for Burrow Baneling potential. That's actually taken down a lot of good Terran players in the past.
Yeah. INnoVation finds the 4th base kind of unguarded, so there's a lot of damage to it. Once again to the middle to clear up some creep, and Impact is starting he's not responding very well to different attacks. Not even clearing up the 4th base yet. And he's trying to counterattack. I don't know if this is really the right move. There's an entire supply depot wall. It's gonna eat up most of the Banelings here.
These Widow Mines in the south have been just destroying Impact too. Like INnoVation is nailing it. And yeah, the attack up here might be a problem, maybe not. I don't know, the SCVs will see this in a second, maybe. Even that being said, like INnoVation's doing so much damage on the other side of the map with so few units. So most of his army is going to be available at home.
Like the 20 supply difference is kind of like Zerg's got to be used to that when they go Ling Baneling. And then eventually they do like catch up. But now
the bus.
40 army supply difference?
SCVs get pulled, there's not that many Banelings left. So many got wasted on that wall. INnoVation's supply block, but he's supply blocked at such a high supply count, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and Impact's upgrades didn't really end up being so far ahead as due to just, INnoVation caught up with it basically. So nothing really in favor for Impact here. And now his Burrowed Banelings have been revealed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really cool tactic, and at this point on, like, INnoVation's going to have to scan a little bit more frequently than he wants to, but that being said, he's actually got so much army he can afford to lose it. Look how many medevacs there are, for goodness sake. Normally these are completely picked off by Queens or Mutalisks or something. Instead, INnoVation has 12 freaking medevacs, something that no Terran player should have.
A lot. Widow Mines maybe gonna get hits?
Yeah, they get some fantastic hits. The Banelings all get removed from the fight, and there's enough medevacs for each and every one of these Marines and Marauders going forward. New round of Banelings going to try and morph in. That being said, there's still not that many. Marauders try to soak up a lot of them on the front line too, and the Marines live through it. Meanwhile, there's an attack on the depot on the right side. The Marines come from the backside to clean it up, but this push down to the 3rd, the 4th, not going to be stopped anytime soon. INnoVation is on a roll, and that momentum can't be stopped.
That's perfect. The Widow Mine defensively killed all the Lings instead of all the SCVs too. GG!
INnoVation, not so surprisingly, will take this series 2-1, and with some really fantastic gameplay in the last 2 games. Like, honestly, the first game was disappointing. I don't know what happened. Like, the Queen drop couldn't have been that, like, WTF factor that INnoVation forgot how to play. But it felt like that's what happened. But then he really brought it back game 2, and really especially there in game 3.
Yep.
Okay, so now we're going to be moving into some co-op to beat this week's weekly mutation. I'm going to put a straw poll up, actually. We don't normally get to do this live on stream, so I'm going to put a straw poll up, and you guys can pick which commander you want to see me play. Zombrio's probably going to stick with the limited selection she has, so you'll just be picking mine.
Whatever, man. I have like 3 of them.
Whatever. Like, you have like 1 that's actually 15. The rest are like level 7.
No, I got 2 that are 15.
Oh, which other ones did you max out?
You know I maxed out Nova, and then I maxed out Carrix.
I actually didn't know you maxed out Nova. So, nice.
You know I maxed out one other person, I swear. Whatever.
No, here's the difference. I may know, but I may not have remembered.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's something important to remember.
Okay, so we're going to go to commercial break while I get this set up, guys. We'll throw up a straw poll in chat. You can pick from any of the 10 commanders which one you want to see me play. So, my point of view, we'll see you soon.